Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the I'll Try That podcast. This week it's a very special episode. Rich and I are joined by Nathan Houghton of Mosaic Board Printers. Nathan, how are you?
Yeah, brilliant. It's good to be on. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited.
We're buzzing to have you on. It's been great to kind of, the idea, we've had this in the diary for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Rich has even been on holiday and I haven't even asked him how his holiday is because I'm like, right, let's get in to talk about beer mats, please. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah, it's a big topic. It is a big topic. And like I said, thanks. I appreciate you having me on. This is my, you are breaking me in on my podcast cherry here. So,
happy to be here, mate. We'll take it nice and steady, obviously.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, for the listeners, and we've got a bit of a board base. Tell us what's Mosaic all about? Where are you guys from?
Yeah, so I'm the marketing manager for Mosaic Board Print in Kettering. We are the UK's largest beer mat manufacturer. Yeah, so I've been tasked with trying to make beer mats cool again, which is why I'm here. So
have beer mats gone out of fashion? I feel like I love beer mats.
Yeah, I tell you what, you'd be surprised how many people do, but I think they're sort of disappearing. Or I don't know if it's because I'm taking more of an interest in beer mats because I've been at Mosaic a year now. And trying to promote them and raise them on socials and stuff. So I thought, it makes perfect sense for me to come on these sort of podcasts and get the name out there.
No, it's perfect. I think it's the right way. It's obviously our listeners are going to be super pumped to kind of talk to you and actually I'm excited just to know all about beer mats that I didn't know before. Let's face it. It's one of those things like it's a beer mat. Everyone knows what a beer mat is. It goes underneath your glassware. You pick it up. It's made of we'll get into what it's made of and the different types of materials. But I'm just going to say this right now. My claim to fame is I can do the beer mat catching game of probably about 10 of them at a time. Okay. So that's my record. I can flick them up from the corner of the table with one hand and catch them, and I can get about 10 of them a go.
I think the bloke with the world record for that is something ridiculous, like 150 or something crazy.
I've got no idea. I'm doing rookie numbers basically.
It's a good start though.
I just don't have the hand span for 150.
No, it's mental.
That's mad.
Yeah,
he must be a giant, right?
It's like Andre the Giant size. Sort of thing.
Honestly, I mean, that I might have exaggerated a little, but I'm sure it's something like mental like that. Yeah,
I'm sure it is.
Maybe we should sponsor him.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'd watch some follow that Instagram story if you're gonna follow. He's going around doing his beer mat flipping challenges.
I've also just got an image in my head of your guys' head office. Does everyone just have stacks of beer mats by their desks and stuff like that?
It is a bit like that. There's lots of stuff. You have to climb over pallets to get to my little office in the corner. It's all top secret because a little story I love to tell when I sort of talk about beer mats and stuff is we actually caught 2 people going through our recycling skip in the car park trying to get beer mats on the sly.
No way.
Really?
Genuinely actually climbing into the skip. Yeah.
Was it for like personal use, or were they taking them back to their pub, or was it?
We think, because we basically just told them to get lost. We think that they were trying to get them to sell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So not in a pub sort of environment, but like an eBay sort of environment.
Okay.
That's completely news to me that there's like a backdoor market for beer mats.
Actually, what am I doing? Maybe I've missed my window.
It. I can just imagine somebody with a trench coat opening up like that, and there's just racks of beer mats hanging down.
You want to buy some beer mats?
Yeah.
Actually, you might be onto something here.
This is like some sales tactics you give your sales team. Start flat. No, hang on, we shouldn't go down there. They shouldn't be flat.
No, you haven't met them either. Yeah, they'll be all over it.
So, Nate, how did you kind of get into? Where's your interest of beer mats kind of come into? Where's that kind of?
Yeah, so I had no. This is going to sound horrible, but I had no interest in beer mats. I mean, I've been in marketing for 20 odd years, and I've known Mosaic because I've been in the print world for forever. So I'd known of Mosaic because they're just not too far from where I live. So I had dealings with them and stuff, and they were looking for a marketing manager. Mm-hmm. I thought, I fancy a bit of that. Knowing nothing about craft beers, knowing nothing about this crazy world that I've dipped my toe in. So much so that, like I said earlier, like I've got a pint on the go at the moment, but it's been stressing me out because I thought if I show you what I'm drinking, you're going to kick me off.
Oh, okay.
Go on. What's your credentials? Go on. Show us your beer credentials on this then.
I'm drinking a pint of my favourite drink, which is Red Stripe.
Yes, love Red Stripe. Yeah, you've got some fans here, Nate. Don't worry, you've got some real fans.
Right,
Honestly, big fans. We did a whole episode on Red Stripe, and I must say it's one of our favourite episodes, just because transported me back. I lived on Red Stripe through my time in Bristol. You know, that was like the fuel of Bristol was Red Stripe. So yeah,
I think last time I did Red Stripe was at your murder mystery party, Joe, and I think that's all I was drinking all evening. So yeah, no, big fan of it.
Right, because I've been saying to the sales team, because they're proper into it, okay? So like our first staff night out, I've walked in the pub and I've got, I'll just have like a pint of Stella sort of thing. And the look on their face, it was like, I'd kick them all in the face sort of thing. They were horrified. I mean, Tim, one of the sales guys, is it Camera? He's a member of
Yeah. Campaign for Real Ale.
Yeah. So he'll sip some sort of tangy orange stout and tell me all about it. And I think they're thinking, mate, I just want a couple of pints of Stripe and I'm happy. So they were trying to suggest that I come on here and get a few cans of Tiny Rebel, Easy Living and all this sort of stuff. But then I thought, if you guys ask me anything about these, I'm completely out of my depth.
No, I agree. I think it's a great shout to go with something and something that you're passionate about. Because let's face it, that's what beer's all about. You've got passion, you've got your favourites. You're willing to dabble and try new things. But hey, between you and I, and for the listeners who have listened to our Tiny Rebel episode, I find them far too sweet. Like the majority of their beers, just because it's not aimed at me. It's Gen Zers, so it's like I'm a millennial. So that means I'm a boomer already, right? So I'm a millennial. So it's like so it's not out targeted at me anymore. I'm preferring my Camden Towns. I'm liking my I can't get enough of Vocation. I've got my favourites as well. That's it.
And it's all right. I don't remember recording the Tiny Rebel episode, so it's all fun and games. So,
Brilliant.
Yeah, unfortunately, Drabber's got progressively louder the episodes as we went on. Yeah,
more slurry.
Yeah. That was fun for it. That was fun for me to kind of edit and balance the levels by the end of it. But anyway, let's go back to the beer mats. So I'm looking through your website and an impressive array of different breweries that have obviously got beer mats on there.
So we do. Looking over your sort of episodes, I would say we've done at least 90% of the beers you've tried. Now, I have to be a little bit careful because we do get some work through third parties. So there's probably some larger breweries out there that don't know we exist, and we kind of have to keep it that way. So it is
you don't
a little
need to
bit...
name names, don't worry.
No. I mean, there is I've got to be a little bit careful. But I think there's only us and another company that actually do what I would call proper pulp board beer mats. So we print on, pulp board. It's designed to absorb liquid. Mm-hmm. It comes in sort of 1.2 mil, 1.4 millimeters thickness, and it's not. If you Google beer mat printing, there's so many other companies that come up, right? But they're cheating. We do it the proper. If you want a proper, good old fashioned beer mat, we are your people. There's no BS with ours. We are proper. They are, good old fashioned pulp board. There's no printing on paper and sticking it onto card. It's direct to substrate. It is the real deal, and I think that's what people appreciate.
That's what they want. I mean, you with the real deal, when you feel it in your hand, it, right? And now you're talking to me. It's that feeling of like that pulp board, that kind of like the real card, and as you said, it does its job. It starts absorbing drips and spills as soon as it happens.
Exactly. And why I tapped you guys up. I mean, when I've gone into a pub, right, I see all these like beer tap things with the snazzy, the fonts. Yeah. So I see all those, right, and I think some of these like Beavertown, for example. I mean, they are absolutely their branding is mega.
Oh yeah,
right? The aliens, that is cool as anything, and I think all these things look awesome, right?
Yeah.
But when I walk into the bar, so I don't know what these are like. So you never risk your first pint in the pub. I wouldn't. You stick with what you know, right? But Yeah, you go back to the table and there's a beer mat there saying, try this citrusy pale ale. You probably risk it for your second pint. But I don't see that in pubs. I see beer mats on bars in boxes, but probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I can clearly remember beer mats just sort of strewn across tables. And we can't work out why that stopped. Maybe it was COVID and people sweep tables away quicker these days. But the going into pub and being the sort of drowning in beer mats, it seems to have stopped. I mean, I don't know if that's Northamptonshire or whether you guys have noticed it, but we seem to think that the throwing beer mats across tables has kind of died a little bit, and we don't know why.
So I think a lot of it we've had down in Weymouth and everything like that is when you first walk into a bar, they're set up in the morning, the tables have beer mats on, but that becomes less and less through the day. One, I don't know, because it's getting busier, because it's getting more things, so beer mats aren't getting put down. But going back to my holiday, I was over in Fuerteventura. Every time I ordered a beer, they would come down and put a fresh beer mat down underneath the glass. We
do a lot to Europe and stuff. That is quite a big part of our business, actually. So, I think when it's those hot sort of countries, they put them on top, don't they?
Yeah, to cover it, can't they? Yeah.
So I mean, so that's kind of good. But certainly in the UK. I see a lot of beer mats in boxes on bars, not just given out. And if you ask for one, you can sort of help yourself. But I couldn't work out why that's changed.
Nathan, are you seeing like anything? Because obviously we're talking about the big green sustainability push, right? And everyone's saying no plastic. Obviously, pulp is like recycled material, isn't it? Like it's 100%. So it's 100% recycled, right?
Yeah, and we use vegetable inks. It's all we recycle. I mean, I should have probably done a bit of research, but it is like I'm sure it's like thousands of tons of our offcuts, and it gets used again. We used recycled pulpboard.
Yeah.
So I mean, we are desperately trying to cut back on plastic and whatnot, but this is that sort of leads on to us. If you want to get your brand out there, I think beer mats are just the perfect tool.
I think you're right, because it is that pulp, it's that recycled material, it hits all those cues, and we know breweries love to shout about their green credentials.
Yeah.
Well, put it on something that is a literal green token, which is a beer mat, it comes from recycled materials, 100%. And it's tactile to your touch, and it's got your branding all over it. I see that just such a win-win, really.
I don't know if I mean, you guys probably have a bit more inside knowledge on this. I mean, we can do like 250 beer mats for like I think it's like 66 quid. So I don't know if it's these small breweries think beer mats are probably it's too expensive. We won't bother. But I mean, for me to have your brand potentially in front of thousands of people in theory for 66 quid, it's a no-brainer. Especially with some of the artworks are so cool.
Is another thing, because we've just come out of lockdown and everyone's purse strings are tightening and this and that.
Yeah.
But is it because at-home drinking is becoming a lot more popular?
Yeah, maybe. We did have that conversation in the office, and I did try and promote like personalised beer mats for your home bar. But even then, I wouldn't say. I mean, we did pick up a few scraps, if you like, but it didn't kick on. It didn't kick on as much as I'd hoped.
Because I can see that you can do personalization. You can print anything basically on these, and I imagine you'll have a team of people to help, like if you've got a design idea or a brand, whatever, and then they'll help adapt it to your format.
Yeah, definitely. We've got like a web shop. So there is some like off the shelf. If you just like want a Union Jack or a St George's flag. Yeah. But we can personalize. I mean, we have got a lot of weddings. People doing like save the date cards on beer mats.
Yeah.
There's a couple of orders this week which the bride and groom have got their face on either side of the beer mat, and they're going to have them out. I've tacked them up. Actually, I'm going to get some pictures of the table set up, because I think idea. That's a quality idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a really nice personal touch that you can add to your where like guests will take that home as a memento, from your wedding. It's like one of those. It's like an actually useful like wedding favor, that you can take off with you. Yeah.
Well, I think it is a nice thing to keep, isn't it?
No, I really
totally.
like that because so I got all of my mass collection of beer mats because we went to the London Craft Beer Festival last August. Still one of my favourite days of last year. And they, of course, every brewery, I would say, majority of the breweries had their own beer mat with all of them. I've got a few of like their cool designs on them.
Yeah, I love this artwork. Yeah.
And there was loads of them of all of their beers. So that's currently what's on my home bowl, my alcohol cart. That's what sits and I put when I've got guests over and stuff like that. But yeah, they seem people are putting them on there, but I just don't think they're doing it mass produced. They've produced it for a weekend in London to promote their brand there.
I'm quite interested. So Nate, so you work obviously directly with breweries that that want that, but is like a lot of your orders then coming from bars and pubs actually, wanting beer mats?
I would probably say it's 50-50. So we've got some, like I said, I had to be a bit careful. So we've got some big accounts, and we deal with their buyers because so a very popular black and white stout, shall we say? We do lots of that sort of thing, shall we say? But that they don't know we exist. That will come through a buyer, and they do order massive quantities, which is perfect. But then we've done some taxi firm. They just wanted their number just to throw around the pubs, which also I think is a quality idea for a beer mat. Because if you are stuck in a Kettering, for example, you want to get out of it pretty quickly. You need a taxi number. But there's no particular pattern. We sometimes I think, that's going to like the wedding ones. I thought, that's such a great idea. That will kick on, and then it didn't. It didn't really happen. But then other ones that I thought, that won't be particular popular. And it really has. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know if it's because, like I said, people have cost of living, people haven't got money, people can't afford to heat pubs. They're not going to spend money on, advertising. But for me, I don't think whether I need to get that across to people. I wouldn't say beer mat advertising is particularly expensive.
No, but I think as well for the reach that I agree with you from what you've described, cost-wise, it seems pretty inexpensive actually. I'm thinking in my head, I wonder if I knew a quite popular beer podcast that would find having their stuff, they're like promoting through beer mats, start spreading this around, because actually I'm thinking in my head, why have we not done this already? We could start like guerrilla just dropping, beer mats in like places with like, don't worry, 100% recyclable, recycle me if you don't need me kind of thing. And it's like, great, that's perfect.
Well, funnily enough, I do know somebody that could help you with that. And I think it would be the least we could do for having us on. So I think once this is finished, we'll talk about some designs and we'll certainly get some out there for you.
And I think for our listeners, it's only fair if we share some of these branded podcast merch. Our first official beer merch, I suppose it would be.
Wicked.
So we'll do a giveaway as well and give them out to listeners.
Brilliant.
And through Instagram and stuff. So watch this space. I think a nice collab with Mosaic here, which is going to be fabulous. I'm excited about this, man. But I was kind of going back to, so obviously beer mats are, a staple. I feel like they just can't go away, and they're not going away for what you're saying. There's a lot here, but I'm trying to think, where can they go next? Like I know beer mats for like, the tactility and the feeling of it, and like, we're seeing them infrequently, but what else can we do with beer mats that can like really, kind of put beer mats back on the map?
One of the coolest beer mats, and that sounds proper like nerdy, doesn't it? Right?
No.
One of the coolest beer mats I've seen recently, and Darren Brown, the magician guy,
Yeah.
So it was for one of his shows. I can't remember the theatre, but what it was, when you looked at the beer mat from the top, it just looked like a weird pattern. It's got almost like a QR code, yeah, right?
Yeah, okay.
But when you held it horizontal and looked at it at a certain angle and sort of rotated it, it read a message. It sort of said magic. I think it said magic like you've never seen before as you rotated it. And now I thought, it takes a lot to impress me, but that was like the design agency that put that together is proper cool. That's very
awesome.
snazzy.
What a great idea.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? So, that's pretty snazzy. What I have seen an increase in is people putting QR codes on beer mats. Like you guys, I assume you would do the same to a link to this podcast.
Yeah,
which makes sense because if you're sitting in a pub, pretty much got your phone in your hand, you see a beer mat with a QR code, highly likely to scan it.
Yeah. When are you sat down? I mean, we've experimented with QR codes, putting them on the back of T-shirts,
right.
You know, like the odd thing, you know, and it's like, you know, standing in a queue, someone might scan you. It's like, you know, it's quite fun. But, you know, we might have to like turn around and say, don't worry, it's not, you know, they're not nudes or anything like that.
Yeah,
like, you know, but no, it's good because it's like, you know, what you're going to do. You sat down at the pub, you know, you put maybe your phone on the table, you put your pint down on your beer mat, you know, and then it's like, it makes sense to scan something, doesn't it? So I think you're right. I'm seeing a lot of like more interactivity with beer mats than the traditional form of like, it's just like, here's a voice, here's a message. There's actually some level of interaction with people with these beer mats now.
Definitely. And I think the other thing that I think has changed technology-wise, I mean, you can have, probably 20 years ago, the technology to print on pulpboard, because it's designed to suck in liquid. So as soon as you put ink on that, it's going to spread. But, I mean, the equipment Mosaic have got, you can have anything, 4-colour images, and it's crystal clear as well. I mean, we've got a kind of a little sort of test run going on at the moment for a guy called Evil Art. And what he does, he paints old movie posters. Really, really cool. And he's coming because he quite likes the idea of having like a gift set of beer mats with his artwork on. But because, and I mean, they are really like the RoboCop one, and you know, Kiss, the like heavy metal band.
Yeah.
They are quality. But I mean, this is all, you know, I'll show these guys. I'll show you the artwork. I'll email it over. But they are cool, and the reproduction on beer mats now is wicked. It's not, you know, buy my beer in block, you know, Times New Roman or whatever. It's the technology's moved on, so there's nothing stopping you having, you know, proper 4-colour images on beer mats.
I think you're spot on. I saw an amazing art, you know, it was through Instagram, but it was like an amazing art installation where I think someone had used beer mats to create like a bigger picture of like someone's
like
face.
pixels,
and it was like hyper realistic.
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
Brilliant.
I love that kind of stuff where like little things that make up a big whole. You know, it's really cool.
Lush.
And
very
used
clever.
Beer mats for that.
I think I quite like. We've got a home brew place near us, a very local pub called the Doghouse, and they brew all of their own stuff. And of course, one of my things was with a lot of craft breweries, it is ever changing their beer. And I think we look at some breweries that are putting out. There was one we did recently that put out 9 different beers in 3 months. Was it Mash Gang? Oh, Arbor, yeah, Arbor, Mash Gang Arbor, and they're putting 70 down. But what they had was they had their name on top of so it had the Doghouse on top of the beer mat, and they were putting those on top of the pumps, and they just had a chalk marker pen, and then they would write in what the beer was on top of the optic, stick that on there, and they go, right, but they got the name of the pub, really fancy kind of like outline design, write what they wanted in the middle, and then they could be like, right, we've done with that this week, we're going to put another one in, and kind of saving them time on that. But I thought, but there was a couple of other breweries were doing it at the London Craft Beer Festival. They had a similar sort of thing, and I thought that was quite an effective way to do it. And then I asked, can I have that? They go, yeah, sure, because they just popped that one off, gave that to me, and then just put another one on top, naming what their beer was, which I thought was quite a good idea.
What I'm trying to do at the moment, you've just sort of reminded me, we're doing a battle of the beer mats. I don't know if you guys have seen that on Instagram.
I saw it on the Instagram, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, I mean, very rarely I have moments of genius, and honestly, the battle of the beer mats is proper good. Like there's a girl, Charlie, in the sales office. Charlie and I literally danced around the office with excitement when we picked the 4 for that month's entries.
Yeah,
that's so
and
good.
I don't know if you saw. Did you see the winner last month? January's winner.
No, I didn't see
So
January.
it was a company called Craftwork Brewery, and they got a guy that. Yeah, have you heard of those guys? I don't know if it's their particular popular. But the guy that drew it, it's almost like an alien, and it is properly cool artwork. And I just think, why are more people not doing that?
Talk to us about Battle of the Beer Mats. How do people get involved in this? What do they need to do?
So we pick every month. We pick 4 of our favourite beer mats, and then they go on our Instagram page, and those the entries for that month get their followers to vote for them, and whoever gets the most votes goes through to the final in December, where you can win a 2-night stay in a spa.
Oh wow!
Very nice.
This is some high stakes, actually. This is a a legit camp. We were going to have to start making some beer mat straps. We need to up our beer mat game, honestly.
Well, maybe if we'll come up with something cool for yours, maybe you'll get entered into March's entry. You might win it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fab.
But it'll be down to, I mean, this is the thing. It comes down to your followers at the end of the day. Because once I've put those 4 images up, it's over to you guys. Get voting.
People have to like it, don't they?
Yeah. So that did really well last month.
Oh,
because,
excellent. Yeah.
You guys read the Instagram followers out at the end of the podcast, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So be kind with mine. I've only been doing it a year. we're slowly getting there.
So good. I've got your Twitter ready to go, and I'm just trying to find. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All working. It's great, mate. It's honestly, it's growing. And as you said, this is you've come in to inject the marketing into Mosaic, getting the name out there. Because as we know, marketing sales go hand in hand. You've got to do. You can't do one without the other, really.
Definitely.
And so you've got to, and especially when it comes to things like social media. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You've got to get that kind of growth going.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think Instagram suits us because I think BMATs are visual. So I think, like LinkedIn, I'm kind of getting there. We're getting a few fans on LinkedIn, but it's kicking off on Instagram. I have no worries about our Instagram followers. That is just going up and up. I mean, what we on about 204 at the moment.
I know. 214. 214. There you go.
You guys, we're unstoppable.
If we haven't already, Drabs, quick, go and follow them now, and we'll be 215th. Yes. We can do it. We can be the 215th and stake our claim right now into this to be the 215th follower. Let's do it.
That hasn't stopped going up. So I think it works for Instagram for us. And we,
I think so. I think it's such a visually engaging platform, and we obviously are primarily Instagram focused for our kind of outreach and kind of like the persona for the podcast outside of obviously the audio part, the actual podcast bit, which it's just I find like it's just talking to people like yourself. We can reach out, vice versa. It's just a good way to kind of find people, see what people are up to, and
definitely.
I love in your Instagram page that there's a whole host of stuff from like just it looks like a fun place to be working at. There's just some like cool that, as well as not taking things too seriously, but obviously you do a solid job here because these are some good looking beer mats, I must say.
I do try and have some fun with it because at the end of the day, it is beer mats. But if you get a chance, I did a Halloween special, so I spent the night in the factory.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's quite a funny video on Instagram. We've done beer mat flipping contests. We've also done see who could throw the beer mat the furthest across the warehouse. And actually, on a safety note, that is why our square beer mats have rounded corners. Because,
really?
You don't want to get one of those in the eye.
And they have a better flight path, I reckon, as well when you throw them.
A bit more lift. So I do try and have fun with it. Yeah. And without sounding too cheesy, it is a lovely place to work. They are a lovely bunch of people, and it is fun.
I do have one question. How many beer mats do you think you produce a year?
Well, I've got some notes here because I did think you might ask me that. So last year we printed 120 million.
Jeez, that's amazing.
That's insane.
So in its height last summer, we were doing nearly 5 million a week.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
What? You must have had quite literal steam coming from your machines, like printing so fast. Martin, the machine minder, so he runs like the big press. Yeah. He put a shift in. Last summer he was running because you guys know that like printing presses are huge, right?
Yeah.
So he's got like a platform that goes up and down. His heat map would be mega, running up and down there. So it was on average about 5 million a week last
absolutely
summer.
mad.
Yeah, so
that's brilliant. Beer mats galore. That's just if we can keep helping, if we can put a bit of word out here, get some more. Give us your top 3. Kind of like who do you want to kind of print beer mats for? Like who are like the 3 that you think?
Do you know weirdly, like I said, I can't say too much. We pretty much do all the big ones anyway, right?
Yeah, nice. Okay, there you
like
go.
That.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know who we are. I don't care about that. Yeah. We get the work anyway. Do you know what I really want to tap into? All these cool little breweries. Like I said before, some of the artwork from a graphic design point of view, I think is stunning. Like, was it Mash Gang or something like that?
Gang on recently,
right? Their artwork's wicked. It's cool. They do some cool stuff, and I just don't. What I want to do is just tap into these cool little breweries, and even if it's just 250 beer mats, right? Doesn't matter. I just think it could help them out.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be the big like Dragon's Den buy beer mats.
But it's like look what Drabbers has got there. He's got a whole stack of people's branded beer mats that he's taken away from an event, and he's like, I'm going to hold on to these, and then he's going to display them in his house. He's only one person, but I'm sure there's how many people have probably interacted with. Like that, I think, is the ripple effect of like something that's like a beer mat, because you can take it and you can kind of hand them out, but it's who they then pass them on to. These things aren't just getting thrown away in waste; they're actually being used and talked about as well.
Exactly. Well, our business cards are beer mats. So we went to the NEC last Thursday to a packaging exhibition, right? I mean that's up there with beer mats as well for a great day out, kids. But we handed our business cards out to people. Like you just said, it's such a tactile thing, a beer mat.
Yeah.
People took them off us and were like, "Oh, these are lovely." And I'm pretty sure you get handed a normal cardboard business card, you're chucking it away. Pretty sure nobody threw our business cards away because of the fact that they were a beer mat. They are a cool thing. You guys
should definitely go to the London Craft Beer Festival this year. There is how many brewers? About 300-400.
Really?
Brewers at the tobacco docks, and they've got all of the.
What you probably want to do is see who's on that hit list of who's going, and reach out to each one and say, "Have you thought about your beer mats for that session, for that thing? Well, we'll print them for you." That's exactly it.
One of the other things I've worked on alongside the socials is what I call like a digital brochure, but it's sort of interactive. So it's got sort of video, it's got sort of moving beer mats, and it's a PowerPoint presentation on steroids, right? So it's quite a cool thing. So what the sales team are doing is doing exactly what you just said. They're going through a list of breweries. Not in a like a MailChimpy sell sort of way, but this is what we do. We think we might be able to help you. Tap us up if you need anything, and that's kind of where we're aiming at, really. Because I think it will help breweries out.
I agree. I think it's and you guys as a combination of sales marketing, you're doing the right thing, helping Mosaic continue to do what you do best, which is be the number one, printer of beer mats in the UK, which is an incredible accolade. I mean, those numbers you were saying about last year's printed beer mats is insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't joking about having to climb over pallets of beer mats to get to my office, but it did get to that at one point. It's difficult because at the end of the day, they are circular or square bits of card, but there is definitely something about them. You've got a stash there.
Yeah.
There is something nice about beer mats, but they just seem to be not as prominent as they were in my mind. But whether I'm wrong, 20 years ago, I thought you'd walk in a pub and there would be beer mats everywhere.
That's just you walk in and people just throw beer mats in you.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, Nate, I think there's something to be said in an increasingly digital focused world. There is something so satisfying about having these analog, tactile things like a beer mat. So, I want to maybe conjecture here. I think beer mats are here to stay. Because I think beer mats are a staple because it's always that link to something physical. And I think it's, brands know that it might be a bit of an afterthought, which I think is wrong. I think you should think holistically about how you reach your consumers and how you get your brand message out there.
Yeah.
But I do think there's always something for beer mats because it's something so tactile, something so engaging. Like you're sat down at a table and there's going to be a beer mat there. So that's a great touch point to talk to someone and tell your story, whatever that might be. Right?
In fact, you just reminded me. You were saying about how other people have been using beer mats. I remember. I think I'd only been at Mosaic probably 3 months, so I didn't, sort of learning the ropes and stuff. And they had a beer mat come in, and it was a guy that was having a battle with his friend of stitching each other up. So this guy had 250 beer mats printed that said Bob Green is a golf cheat. and he was just gonna like band them round the pro shop and the clubhouse and stuff. I think if I remember, I think he'd even put like a joke advert on the back offering golf lessons with his mobile number on.
That's so good.
which that is proper funny, isn't it?
I like that.
That's brilliant. That's so good. That's a new level of like stitching on mate-up. That's so good.
I'm sure it's
very ingenious.
Bob Green is a golf cheat. That's it.
There you go. And the fact that you've remembered that as well is just the power of it, right? That's so good. Because if you see that on your table, you'd be like, that is hilarious. That is so good.
I like that a lot.
So yeah, I'm glad you think beer mats are here to stay.
No, they definitely are.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think we need more beer mats in our lives. If we don't have them, we need to go get them.
Well, I think you guys are going to get a magic delivery.
Well, we'll work on that. We'll work on the details. Yeah. That sounds. I'm very excited by that. The prospect. That sounds so cool. But Nate, honestly, thank you so much. Is there anything before we kind of close up here, you need the world to know?
No, just thank you very much for having me. It's been brilliant to meet you guys. Proper funny. I did do a bit of research. I did listen to a few podcasts, and you did make me laugh in my office. So
right,
honestly,
then.
I can't.
there you go.
I can't say thank you enough. Thank you very much for having me. It's been brilliant.
No, Nate, it's been our pleasure. And honestly, as I said, I wasn't even joking. I'm excited to have talked about beer mats, and I'm even more pumped for the future of beer mats than I ever have been. So thank you for this.
then my work here is done.
There you go. This is great. So everyone, don't forget to go follow Mosaic Board Printers on Instagram and Twitter. And obviously you go to mosaicboardprint.com or just type in Mosaic in Google and you'll probably come straight up on the SEO like they did when I did it. So go get your beer mats because this is brilliant.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe, Rich,
Barbara, and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter, I'll Try That Podcast.com, and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.